Good evening. The headlines tonight, Monday the 28th of August, 1939. Britain has sent a warning to Herr Hitler. We will stand by Poland, whatever the consequences. The message has been taken to Berlin by the British ambassador. It's being studied by Hitler tonight. Germany has sealed its borders with Poland. All roads to Danzig are blocked. Here, every citizen now has a gas mask, even the youngest. And city children across the land are preparing for evacuation.
Are we downhearted?
And the Austin 12, that British symbol of dependability, has been given a new look. Britain is tonight making it clear to Adolf Hitler that if he does send his armies into Poland, Great Britain will go to war. The British envoy, Sir Neville Henderson, is at the Chancellery in Berlin at the moment. He's delivering a statement of Britain's position, which was approved by the Cabinet early this afternoon. It's understood to be a warning that Germany must stop its campaign of European aggression. In March of last year, Austria was annexed by the Nazis. 5 months ago, the Czechoslovakian territories of Bohemia and Moravia were occupied. Now, Hitler is demanding the reunification of Germany with East Prussia and regards Poland as the physical barrier to his ambitions. First tonight, our diplomatic editor Christopher Lee reports on the efforts here in London to try to avert war.
All morning, Whitehall was crisscrossed by ministers and officials continuing the crisis meeting started on Saturday with the hope of finding a form of words to convince Herr Hitler that a way can be found to resolve peacefully the differences between his country and Poland. Then, at around 11:30, the Foreign Secretary, Lord Halifax, arrived at number 10 after talks with officials and the French ambassador. It's understood that Sir Neville Henderson, Britain's ambassador to Germany, was also present, and the two men briefed the Prime Minister on the latest assessment of Herr Hitler's intentions. Shortly afterwards, other ministers arrived for a full meeting of the Cabinet, and it's likely that it was during that 50-minute session that the draft response to the German position was agreed. And the tenor of Britain's position was summed up today by Lord Halifax.
We have never had, and have not today, the remotest intention of attacking Germany. But if misunderstanding between Germany and Great Britain is to be removed, I repeat that there must be some certainty about the future of Europe.
Sir Neville arrived back on Saturday in an aircraft provided by the German government. This evening he returned to Berlin via British Airways, and in about an hour's time he's expected to meet once again with Herr Hitler. It's understood that the message in that briefcase is simple. Poland is ready for direct negotiations with Germany, but there must be some international guarantee for a settlement, and finally, Britain will stand by Poland, whatever the consequences.
And we now understand that that meeting between our ambassador to Berlin and Herr Hitler is scheduled to begin at 25 minutes past 10. There is, however, according to our Berlin correspondent, little indication of any softening of the German position. Germany has today closed its frontier with Poland, and the Nazi authorities have cordoned off the free city of Danzig, which stands at the centre of the crisis. It was declared free at the end of the last war, open to Germans and Poles alike. Now it's under German armed guard. Our Berlin correspondent Charles Wheeler reports.
The Nazi authorities in the free city of Danzig have effectively cut off Poland's outlet to the sea. All major roads into Danzig have been blocked with tree trunks and barbed wire and are guarded by armed German troops. Poland's vital railway line to Gdynia, its only port, is also cut. 2 Polish goods trains were seized by the Germans today. Earlier, German officials defined the extent of the Führer's demands. These have grown. They include not only Danzig itself, but also a band of territory 60 miles wide that would absorb the entire Polish corridor and join the German province of Pomerania with East Prussia. Meanwhile, adding to the tension, the German training ship Schleswig-Holstein has left Danzig and is reported to be lying at anchor with her guns trained on Gdynia. Poland has all but completed preparations for war, which many believe inevitable. The call-up of reserves is said to be a great success, with thousands of men rushing to join the colours. In Berlin, Berlin, the propaganda ministry has released film of war preparations in the West, where German troops are manning the Siegfried Line.
Die Munition wird durch Hohlgangsbahn und Fahrstuhl an die Geschütze befördert.
The underlying message, reinforced by official briefings today, is that if Britain and France stand by their treaty with Poland, they must expect retribution on the Western Front.
Here at home, the preparations for war have been continuing at an intense pace. Everyone is now in possession of a gas mask, and Sandbag Sunday, as yesterday was dubbed, spilled over into Monday. National treasures are being moved to safety, and thousands of people who've been away on holiday have been returning home. We have two reports. First, Tim Sebastian.
It wasn't the homecoming they'd expected. Many Britons cutting short their holidays on the continent, returning to the new emergency. At Croydon Airport, a final batch arrived back from Berlin as German nationals themselves prepare to leave Britain. Everywhere, it seemed, influx and exodus as the doors around Europe begin to shut. At stations, last-minute farewells at the start of uncertain journeys. Already, communications in some parts of Europe have been disrupted as France closes its border with Germany. At the Channel ports, the ferries brought back holidaymakers in their thousands. Many of them told of growing concern in other countries, of mobilization orders and new emergency measures. Only by the seaside was there no sign of concern. Traders reported business above average. Hotels have been full up and down the country, and beaches packed. The weekend cricket programme didn't suffer either, with many determined to enjoy a lull in anticipation of a devastating storm to come. Crisis weekend? It didn't look like it here.
In London and Britain's other cities, trenches are being hacked out as protection against air raids. Trenches and sandbags, potent symbols of war in the very heart of the home front. Plate glass windows in London's West End are festooned with tape to prevent shattering, and sandbags are everywhere, piled defensively against walls, a backdrop to afternoon strollers in the summer sun. In Oxford Street, that most patriotic of itinerant racing tipsters, Prince Monolulu, holds aloft a gas mask, destined, he says, for Herr Hitler, and sums up the mood of the nation.
Gas mask! Are we afraid of Hitler? No! Are we dumb-hearted? No!
Every citizen, or almost every citizen, now has his gas mask. Infants, too, are to be catered for, though the air supply system does need elbow grease. Museums and art galleries are shut. The National Gallery is being stripped of its treasures, old masters dispatched to a safer haven. The British Museum, too, echoes hollowly, emptied of artifacts, with priceless statues being sent for keeping outside London. At Canterbury Cathedral, a great 12th century stained glass window is to be stored underground. Peace is still the hope as the nation readies itself for war.
And that readiness now exists among the children of our major cities and towns. Today they rehearsed for the moment the nation prays may never be necessary, their evacuation. A rehearsal which seems to have gone very smoothly, as Paul Burden reports.
Officially, the autumn term doesn't begin till tomorrow in London. There was still something of a holiday atmosphere at many of the 900 schools taking part in today's exercise. But the serious purpose behind it was all too clear. Every child carried the now familiar cardboard box holding the obligatory gas mask. The operation began at 5:30 in East London. It will be among the first areas to be evacuated. The months of preparation since the Munich crisis of last autumn have ensured that there has been ample time to refine the plans. Priority number one is to ensure that no child gets lost en route. The official instructions call for an identity label to be sewn into the clothing of each child. All the children were divided into small groups of 10. The order of the day is, whatever else happens, stick with your group. The disruption of normal school life does not seem to have lowered morale.
Are we downhearted?
Each child must bring a change of underclothes and shoes, a toothbrush, comb and towel. They were also asked to bring enough food for one day. The contents of each bag were meticulously checked. Heavy demand from parents has meant that haversacks, the recommended form of luggage, have disappeared from most shops. A range of ingenious alternatives were in evidence. Old attaché cases, pillow slips, even plain paper parcels. Hundreds of buses were withdrawn from normal service for the day so that the exercise could be carried out with complete realism right up to the platforms of the main stations. The organisers believe they have shown that it is possible to move 500,000 children quickly and safely across the centre of London in a single day.
Paul Burden reporting. The government has announced that British shipping is not to use the Mediterranean and must also leave Baltic ports without delay. Wireless transmissions from our ships in UK waters have been banned and they must not show lights at night. In the event of war, the price of petrol will be fixed at 1 shilling and 6 a gallon. The current retail price ranges from 1 and 4 to 1 and 7 halfpenny. The first list of emergency regulations has been published. They give the government wide powers in the event of war. Among them, to billet civilians for a payment of 5 shillings a week, to requisition property, including horses and motor cars, and to restrict the activities of pigeon fanciers. Our political editor, Christopher Jones, is here with the details.
The Home Secretary, Sir Samuel Hoare, calls these powers very wide, very drastic, very comprehensive. So they are. They cover everything from spreading false rumours to the use of carrier pigeons, and breaking them could mean fines of £500 or imprisonment for 2 years. From today, the government can commandeer any land or building that it wants to, control all industry and tell factories what they must produce, control prices in the shops. All shipping in and out of our ports will be strictly regulated, including the fishing fleet. And all non-military aircraft, except from Dominion countries, will be banned. Householders could be forced to have military or essential workers billeted on them, and there'll be a strict blackout, including on the roads. All wireless messages come under these rules, and the government will have powers to control what's being sent through the post, and controls on landlords so that families of men called to the colours can't be turned out for not paying the rent.
There was pandemonium in Downing Street this morning when a man scattered a suitcase full of round black missiles among the crowd there, and a cry of bombs went up. The missiles turned out to be rubber balls covered in peace slogans. The man had pushed through the crowds outside number 10 and handed a note to a police officer. "How would you like a few bombs in Downing Street?" it read. The officer gave chase and the crowd panicked as the man scattered the imitation bombs from his suitcase. He later told the court he felt it necessary to demonstrate because in Downing Street a few old men were toying with the lives of millions. Many women were severely shocked by the experience. Others had fallen on the man, whom they believed to be a member of the IRA, and given him a black eye. The new Austin 12 was launched today. The boot can hold 4 full sets of golf clubs, and with an optional radio and air conditioning, it will retail at £225 for the fixed head saloon, £235 for the sliding head. In the city, the pound has fallen in value from $4.40 this morning to close at $4.28. At one point, it fell to $4.10. The value of gold went up 6 shillings to close at 161 shillings an ounce. The bank rate remains unchanged at 4%. And that was the news tonight, Monday, the 28th of August, 1939. The evacuation rehearsal has been completed. The government waits to hear from Berlin whether peace in Europe can be preserved. From the BBC in London, good night.